Despite being arguably the biggest market for games ever, mobile gaming has never become the standard for major releases. There have been attempts by different publishers to change that idea, especially with Capcom's recent iPhone 15 Pro versions of games like Resident Evil 4, but the mobile ecosystem seems to have been almost exclusively relegated to smaller releases. Due to this lack of high-profile titles, a majority of gamers have overlooked genuinely good games that have hit the platforms, such as the rather solid Monument Valley series. Created by developer Us2 in 2014, Monument Valley is a charming little puzzler that works by having players manipulate the environment around their character to solve obstacles. It's not an overly complex game, but the way in which each section pushes you to look outside the box makes it engaging. It doesn't hurt that each title is short enough to finish in a single sitting, making it feel like a brief piece of interactive fiction rather than a drawn-out experience. After a sequel in 2017, Us2 would create a variety of different puzzle titles for mobile devices and consoles over the next decade before returning to Monument Valley with a Netflix-exclusive sequel, Monument Valley 3. At the time, the company stated it partnered with Netflix due to a lack of visibility on Apple's storefront. It also wanted to bring the game to consoles so that it would find a wider audience, which certainly helped the first two games a few years back. I'm going to handle this review a little differently, as there isn't really much point in describing the gameplay of the third installment of a series. Monument Valley, as mentioned during the intro, works with the concept of distorting your perception by having you rotate and drag different environmental pieces to solve rudimentary puzzles. You could think of it similar to how The Legend of Zelda handles dungeons, just with no exploration in between and nothing to unlock along the way. Your spatial awareness and problem-solving skills will be put to the test, but you don't need to worry about combat prowess or reaction time. What I initially found so fascinating about the first Monument Valley is that it worked so well with how smartphones are laid out. There are very few mobile titles I've come across that actually take into consideration the design of our smart devices, but Monument Valley is built with that just in mind. The playing field is often centered, but dragging across the sides of your screen will zoom in the camera. Some areas also require you to flip the phone vertically, allowing for taller structures instead of wider ones. It's a very unique way to present a game, even if the experience in question is nothing new. As you journey across the various puzzles put before you, each Monument Valley game presents a light story that takes its protagonist, Noor, from being a young lightkeeper and into a sage. At the end of this latest title, Noor is now in control of a lighthouse and is responsible for the safety of her people. It's not exactly heavy stuff, but it does follow the blueprint of the hero's journey well. It also gives you some context for why you're navigating on otherwise abstract bits of geometry and architecture. It's been a while since I've played the first two games, but Monument Valley 3 doesn't require you to have knowledge of its characters or setting before jumping in. It also assumes you know what you're getting into, as tutorials are pretty limited. The game has a seamless opening that transitions right into a puzzle, then drops the title card before really getting into any new mechanics. Where Monument Valley 3 does feel like a step up is with navigation, as certain levels will see Noor venturing into the ocean to solve some puzzles. This, I feel, is a great addition as it makes the world of Monument Valley feel more organic. I know there were a few puzzles in past games where you'd have to lead other characters, but the beginning few chapters in Monument Valley 3 see you working with the Elder Lightkeeper before others have you guiding villagers to specific spots. There's even a little kid who constantly runs away from Noor, forcing you to twist and turn obstacles to lead her to specific switches. Visually speaking, I've always liked the minimalist style that Monument Valley has. The graphics are maybe not as impressive 11 years after the original game, but they are bright, colorful, and convey what they need to. There is something to having a faceless protagonist that allows the player to embed whatever personality they want onto them. It's also just plain clean, which helps when scanning levels for clues about what to do next. I think that is ultimately what makes Monument Valley as a series easy to recommend. These aren't mind-bending games in the sense that you'll be stuck for hours on any puzzles. The game does ramp up in difficulty as you go along, but there is a calmness to its atmosphere that pushes you to continue. When you're struggling a bit and the soothing soundtrack kicks in, you tend to take a deep breath and rethink things. In a way, Monument Valley is like a mobile adaptation of Fez, just not as ludicrously complex. Worth mentioning with this belated console release of Monument Valley 3 is that it includes the first free expansion for the game, called The Garden of Life. I guess via Netflix, there have been some seasonal updates for Monument Valley 3 that will be doled out over the coming year, and those will also be heading to this version. I haven't jumped into that bit of content yet, but getting additional puzzles for free in a game focused on puzzles sounds like a great deal. Even if that wasn't included, however, it's not like the main set of levels is lackluster or disappointing. While maybe it would be nice for us two to mix things up even more, Monument Valley has consistently been a good mobile puzzle game for over a decade now. You don't have to reinvent the wheel each time. The console versions don't have anything super unique to them, but not being locked to a platform that will suddenly delist older titles or make games incompatible with newer OS updates is a huge plus. If you happen to own a Steam Deck, you can also replicate that mobile experience while being able to carry this game forward to newer hardware. If you couldn't tell at this point, I think Monument Valley 3 is a worthy addition to the series and one that should please puzzle-loving players. It's fantastic that all 3 games are now available on whichever platform you like, providing you the flexibility to play where you want. Even if I have some issues with the final game, it's still an easy recommendation to make.